Here he is, the Baltic Gladiator, Modestas Bukauskas, back on the program. And you can see him fight next July the 27th at UFC 304 when he takes on Marcin Prachnio. Modestas, how are you?
Yes, doing very well, thank you, mate. Very good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my man. And I'm really excited for this fight. You got a tough opponent. This guy's a veteran. He's got a good record. I was looking at the odds a little bit leading into the fight. You're a little bit of a favorite, minus 150. He's a plus 130 underdog. Do you pay attention to that kind of stuff?
Um, I don't really pay attention to it too much, to be fair. But look, at the end of the day, they're right to say that I'm the favorite because I'm the better fighter. And like I say, it's up to me to go and show it.
And this will be in the Co-op Live Center, Manchester, England. How excited are you, for this opponent, this venue, and just this platform to be fighting on such a big pay-per-view card?
Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing opportunity. Obviously, I've been gunning for wanting to fight in my in my hometown in my home country for since I signed with the UFC, even since the first run. So I just feel like this is almost divine intervention that I'm now fighting because I was actually originally hoping that I'll be able to fight in like sort of March, April time. But things didn't work out. But I'm glad that they worked out this way, which means okay, I'll wait a little bit longer. But it means I get to fight at home and I get to fight in Manchester, a brand new arena. It's absolutely amazing. And like I say, I've always been imagining, I've always been visualizing fighting in front of a hometown crowd, and finally it gets to happen. So I believe that all the stars are aligning at the right time.
Yeah, can't wait to see you back in there, man. When you first heard the opponent, Marcin Prachnio, what were your initial thoughts? What are your thoughts just on his style and what he brings to the fight?
Yeah, funny enough, I actually had two other opponents that I was offered before Marcin. But yeah, for one or another reason that those two fell through. And then yeah, I mean, like, look, he's obviously a very experienced fighter. He's very experienced in the UFC. I think he's had maybe two or three more fights than me. He's a veteran of the game. He's fought all different styles. He's fought all different athletic body types. He's fast. He's got that Kyokushin karate background. It's like he can throw all those flamboyant kicks just as well as I can, pretty much. So he poses a lot of threats, a lot of dangers, but all the threats and dangers that I feel that I could definitely neutralize, and yeah, I can really show my full toolbox.
And I know it doesn't matter to you, regardless of where the fight goes. You're comfortable if it's on the feet or on the ground. But this guy's only got one submission victory. Most of his wins are by TKO knockout. Is the safest route to a victory here to take him down, or do you want to stand and trade with him? Like, run me through your mindset as far as that goes.
I can do either one. I feel like I'm comfortable no matter where it goes, no matter if it's on the floor or on the feet. I've had, you know, I've had almost like a rediscovering of myself over these last, sort of 8 months. I think it's been 8 months now, yeah, since my last fight. I've like I say, I've learned a lot of things. I've changed a lot of things. I've improved a lot of things, and ultimately it doesn't really matter what I say right now. I got to go and do it on the night. I know how good I am. I know what threats that I bring to the table. I know that I can be a world champion. At the end of the day, all that stands between sort of me and getting there is putting on the amazing performances beforehand. So at the end of the day, I'll take it wherever the fight is given, and I think that's a lot of the things that was sort of just been the key thing with my coaches. It's like, listen, you can fight anywhere, you go wherever it takes you, you let it flow, you let it be natural, as opposed to, oh, it's got to go a certain way, because in this fight in particular, especially, I'm just going to feel the flow and the way that the fight is going, and then take it from there where I want to take it, essentially. So like I say, I feel I got better grappling and I feel I got better striking. So ultimately, I just can't wait to get in there and do my thing.
Yeah, July 27th. Can't get here fast enough. We're going to circle back to this fight and just this card. I wanted to get some picks from you on a couple of the main event or main card fights, anyways. Let's circle back to November. That was your last fight. You talked about it a little
Yeah.
bit earlier. You alluded to it. That was the round two loss to Vitor Petrino. What are the big lessons there? Anything specific you kind of point towards?
I feel like I'm just living my life more like how an athlete should live his life. Not to say, I even had a conversation with my training partner Will Curry, and you know, we were talking about it's like I didn't have an issue about training hard, but you know, essentially how what are the other things or what the other sort of pieces going together. Like, am I getting my sleep right? Am I making sure that my nutrition's on point? Am I making sure that I'm not drinking? Am I making sure that I'm not going out too much? It's like, where you think like, oh, maybe I could get away with this or I could do this. You can't get away with it, especially if you want to. I believe it was just like I say, it was a calling from God for me to change certain things because it's like you're not going to get to the cream of the crop if you don't change these things now because it's just going to set you up for something better in the future. So and yeah, skill set developments. You have to really tighten and try and figure out where you potentially were going wrong because it's like very small tweaks. You know what I mean? It's not like a massive change of completely change of skill set or drastic things that are being put to the table. It's all just like very minuscule things, but they all make a massive difference. So all of the experience that I've had over these last 8 months are leading to this moment, and one of which a big part of my sort of evolving phase has been training with Tom Aspinall and his team up in Liverpool. So I mean, you can't really get better training than that. Training with guys that are up to 40 pounds heavier than me. So that's definitely been another key thing that I've added.
Yeah, and that's a team. Is it Kaobon? Am I saying that correctly?
It's not Cowbon anymore. So I'm not 100% sure how everything how it is all up there, but essentially they've got their own gym. They call it it's a Gym King gym basically, and yeah, essentially Tom just brought with his dad coaching and some of his other coaches as well. They just brought in a load of like big guys, and they all just come together and train at this place. So it's not actually Team Cowbon, it's their own sort of their own thing that they've sort of built together. So yeah, it's an absolutely amazing thing, and it seems like it's like I say, it's a great vibe, great energy, and obviously great people and great coaches.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, training with Tom Aspinall doesn't get any better than that.
No.
How much bigger is he than you? Obviously, you're fighting at a weight class down, but what is the size differential?
Well, I mean, if you look, I'm about 220 pounds. I'm 6'3". He's 6'5", and he's like 255, and he's just a lot thicker, like bigger. Do you know what I mean? He's looking pretty lean these days as well, So he's just a bigger build, like a bigger frame. Like it's almost like you look at me and then you look at him. It's like well, you look at me in a picture in between all of these other massive heavyweights, and it's not often that I'm the smallest guy in the room. I look like an absolute pipsqueak compared to these guys. So if you imagine that, that's what I look at across the board alongside these other heavyweights. That's pretty much what I look like standing next to Tom.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think for my money, he very well could be the best heavyweight on planet Earth. Do you agree with that?
100%, 100%. And like I say, especially having seen it, firsthand, the skill. He's such a great fella, you know what I mean? He's charismatic and not only that, his skill set's like insane in everywhere. Do you know what I mean? That no matter which part of the game it is, he's very well versed in everything. And he's got a great team behind him, The main thing is that the people around him are very close knit and they're very they care a lot about him, and like I say, that's what makes him so good. Everyone's there to help him reach that next level.
Yeah. Well, let's stick with this theme. I obviously wanted to get your take on this matchup with Curtis Blades. I guess technically right now it's still for the interim title, but with what's going on with John Jones, who knows? He might get stripped. This could be for the unified, the actual legit heavyweight belt. How do you see this fight playing out? Obviously, we know Curtis Blades likes to get it to the ground. Do you think this fight goes to the ground, or is Aspinall going to be able to dictate if he wants this fight standing? He's going to keep it there.
I think Tom will finish it on the feet. I think he will be able to neutralize the takedown attempts by Blades. He's been working extensively. I just feel his speed, his precision as well. Something's going to land, and when it does, it's not going to be a good day for Blades. So I do believe Tom is gonna get the job done in emphatic fashion.
Who do you think would be the most challenging matchup stylistically for him?
I mean, obviously John Jones, but and that's the fight that I think everyone wants to see. That's the fight I want to see. I know that they've got, Stipe Miocic in the works, but I feel like that's the fight that needs to unify the division is Tom versus Jones. So obviously once Tom gets the job done against Blades, I mean that's the only fight that really makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think that's essentially going to be the hardest matchup because John Jones is the most well-rounded. But I also think, like I say, Tom is very well-rounded. So to me, he is the number one heavyweight, Tom. So, like I say, he's the man.
You know, a fight that I always wanted to see. I don't know if it's going to happen now at this point, but Tom Aspinall, Francis Ngannou. I mean, that would be. I mean, that would
Yeah.
be as good as John Jones, as far as I'm concerned. How would that fight go when you look at the power that both of those guys possess?
I mean, I guess it, like I say, is just determined on or dependent on a lot of different factors, really. But there definitely would be a massive speed advantage to Tom for sure. Obviously, Francis has got the freaking touch of death. Do you know what I mean? The freaking clubber of stone. But like I say, I think Tom's movement and his feints and stuff like this. I think, like I say, honestly, I rate Tom massively. Like after having trained alongside him, like uh, any question you ask me about who is he gonna against which heavyweight, it's always gonna be on Tom's side, just because, like I say, I just truly believe he is that good.
What is it like rolling with him and being on bottom?
Yeah, it's quite a struggle, let's just say. I mean, especially obviously he's got the extra weight as well, but he's very well versed as well. Obviously, he's been doing jiu-jitsu for such a long time, for such a young age. So, he's very good at his positioning, put himself in the right places to be able to, for MMA land his strikes and to be able to hold someone in place. And like I say, he's going against like really good like grappling guys in the sessions as well. So yeah, having him on top of you, let's just say it's not extremely fun.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds miserable if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh, so I see, obviously I follow you on Instagram and X. One of your sponsors, Bet US. You've been doing a lot of fight picks for that. I saw you did the one for UFC
Yeah.
Denver. If you were going to make an official prediction for this fight, does Blades get out of the first round? Obviously you're going Aspinall, but like give me an official prediction. What round? How does it end?
I believe it would be TKO Tom first round.
Okay. I
That's
think
my
that could be
prediction.
some big money. You put a little I mean you can't because you're an active UFC fighter, but
Yeah,
me, I
yeah, yeah,
can.
of
I can
course.
go do that.
But exactly, I'm trying to help you out, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm trying to help everyone out here.
exactly. Co-main event, Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad for the 170 strap. Analyze that one for me if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I mean, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion, I think Leon up until the eye poke was winning that fight. He was controlling it. He got a massive head kick in there. He almost came in with a bit of an extra ferocity in that fight from what I saw previously. So, I mean, look, Leon again, people underestimate how good he is everywhere. He's very tight and very concise with his movements. It's not like it's not like that there's no gaps in between what he's doing, not only in the wrestling, not only in the grappling, but obviously also in the striking aspect. So, Bilal's good. He moves around a lot, but a big cage as well. I feel like Leon's got a good head move, good movement. He changes stances as well. I believe Leon's going to find those right shots. Do you know what I mean? And when those shots land, that's what's going to be a problem for Bilal. And as we've also seen against Kamaru in the third fight, he's got good takedown defense and recovery. So those are all going to play a factor. Like I say, Leon is a sniper, and I think his sniper is going to be headed in the right direction in that fight.
Did you envision what Leon did in the third fight against Usman? Because let's be honest, like in that second fight, he was losing every minute of the fight up until he
Yeah,
caught him with that head kick. I did not see that coming. And in the third fight, he just looked like a completely different guy. Was it a mental thing with him against Usman where like a switch was flipped?
yeah. I mean, you got to also take into consideration the altitude. That's another thing. maybe that played a factor in the second fight. And then yeah, he come out of the bag. He had that extra mental strength to like pull out that amazing shot. And yeah, like I say, it looked completely different in that third fight. He was controlling everything a lot more, and I think it's just a build-up of confidence and momentum going his way that's just sort of brought him over. Every single fight, he's just gotten more and more confident, better with his skill set, and like I say, he's still very young as well. So, he's got a very bright future ahead of him, and I do believe he's going to do an amazing job against Bilal.
Yeah. I think the casual fan doesn't really understand just how important the mental side of fighting is. Like
Oh, mate.
everyone wants to focus on, the physical aspect of it, but mental is so important.
Oh, when it gets to the fight, it's like literally 90% of the game. Obviously all your training, everything leading up to it is going to like pay, pay the biggest amount of back. But in terms of when you're actually going into the fight, is how can you perform on the day?
Mm.
Because as much as everything obviously matters what you're doing beforehand, it now it matters how you're going to put it in the moment in front of all the lights and everything, and how strong are you going to be to just kind of let loose and just be wild and embrace that moment as opposed to shy away from it.
Yeah, no doubt. Does Patty beat Bobby?
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I don't know because I think if Paddy does get it to the floor, I think that's where he's going to do really well because I know Paddy's jiu-jitsu is very good. However, Bobby's striking is very unorthodox, very different, and when he lands and he starts picking a couple of shots up, that's when he starts really getting going, and that's when he finds the finishing blows. Always very entertaining as well. I feel like, and it's almost like Paddy sort of keeps his head up a little bit with the striking, and then Bobby has his hands down, and like he's landing shots. So yeah, that's a tough one. Like
Yeah.
I say, that one's a tough one.
Okay.
I can't really say just because I believe if it stays standing, Bobby will take it. If it goes to the floor, Paddy will take it.
Okay. Fair enough. I like the answer. I wanted to get your take too, just on the light heavyweight division. Poatan is terrifying. Like what he did to Yuri. I mean, my goodness. Do you think pound for pound is Pereira's power? Is it better than someone like Ngannou?
Hmm. Um, he's just got very good mechanics, hasn't he? He's got very good rotation of his torso, like with his punches. He's got a couple of punches where he's very good with those shots. He really puts it. He learns how to put his weight into his shots. He learns how to basically shift his body in the correct ways in order to get that full force. Where I feel like actually a lot of fighters don't have that, and that's where he's sort of doing a better job than everyone else, and that's why he's able to land so deep. And his targeting. Do you know what I mean? He's landing on the right spot every single time. I mean, if you even look at the Adesanya fight where he caught him with that right hand, he just caught him right on the right spot to get him down. So I think along with his precision, along with his shifting of weight and getting his shots into it, I mean, yeah, I think obviously pound for pound, you got to put him up there in terms of being one of the most devastating strikers and one of the hardest punches. I'm pretty sure he must have done one of those punching machines and scored one of the highest on there for sure.
I think I saw a video about that. So,
Yeah.
Modestas, outside of yourself, I mean, obviously you're going to keep climbing these rankings and you'll get there. And if he's still the champ, you'll be the one to unthrone him, right? But outside of yourself right now, when you look at the top of the division, who is the guy that can beat him right now at 205?
At 205. I mean, the one that's probably going to give him the hardest, overall trouble. We got to say Ankalaev. You know what I mean? Ankalaev's got, he's got the wrestling, he's got the southpaw style, he's got the different kind of like movement. He's got those aspects of his game and stuff like this. So I think that will pose the biggest threat. However, I still think Alex would get the job done.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Alex has found a way to be able to neutralize a lot of people's biggest weapons, and I feel like if that fight came to fruition, he would also do the same there.
How do you think he does at heavyweight? He's been talking about wanting to go up and get a belt at heavyweight. Do you think he's still,
It'll be hard. It'll be hard at heavyweight. Like I say, when you got guys like Tom out there,
yeah,
it's no easy pickings. I mean, of course, he's got, like I say, he's got these heavy hands, and did this really good striking. But I mean, like I say, Tom's very good. And how would he do against Jailton Almeida, for example? Do you know what I mean? Like Jailton, he if he gets you against the fence and gets you down on the floor and you're on your back, that's now 255 pounds on top of you landing strikes. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Against Pereira, I think he's the heaviest you'd be probably about 235. So it's like, how would that go? Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of like questions in the heavyweight division, like how would he be able to overcome those things? But yeah, I mean, obviously he's got a massive speed advantage. So
yeah.
this is the thing. I think towards the upper echelons of heavyweight, it would be difficult, but he could definitely do well at heavyweight.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that I could change or implement in the UFC, it would be adding a 225-pound division, like a cruiserweight, because to me, it just makes no sense. Like, all these other weight classes, there's 10-pound increments, and then you go from light heavyweight, 205, all the way to 265 at heavyweight. It doesn't make any sense. Do you think eventually we're going to see another weight class in between light heavy and heavy?
Um, I don't think we're going to see any new weight classes at all, just because I feel like it's sort of set in stone that these were the weight classes that were done, and this is we want to be different from everyone else, so we're going to make it like this. I mean, me personally, I think they should do every 10 pounds. So, and especially what 175, sorry, 170, and then it goes to 185. Do you know what I mean? It's like realistically, yeah, you should be going 10 pounds. So, 185, 195, 205, or something like this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Something along those lines. Yeah, there should be. Um, it would mean that there was obviously more champions, more, like even in boxing, I don't know who the champions are for like all the weight class, you put them all together. So maybe it kind of makes things a bit more concise in that respect. But yeah, I'm hoping that they add some new weight classes just because it would just open up the game a little bit more. Obviously there'll be a chance for more people to become free weight champions and stuff like this. So, but will it change under this era right now? I don't think so.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Dana and the UFC brass does in the future.
Yeah.
Circling back to your fight, I saw something that you posted on Twitter or X, that you're fed up with the disrespect. I'm curious what that meant. Who was it directed towards? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit about it?
It's just people, man. I feel like my skill sets have been sort of discredited. You know, like people like, and it's down to me at the end of the day. I get it. I need to go out there and perform. Obviously, I lost my last fight, so you know, people aren't so high on me at the minute. But it's like, okay, don't worry. For me, it's just almost like it's a bit of a chip on the shoulder. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you just see certain comments and certain people writing certain things, and I know it shouldn't really mean anything, but even on Tapology, like going down like 17 spots, it's like, okay, so you don't think I'm that good? Well, I'm gonna show you that I am. Do you know what I mean? So, but that's the type of thing, the type of chip on my shoulder I need in order to perform my best. And I feel like that's all throughout my history of my career. That's how it's gone. People told me I was never going to beat Martin Hamlet, and then I go and win the belt. They told me for ages I'll never win the Cage Warriors belt. Then they told me I'll never get to the UFC, and then all this kind of stuff. And it's like uh I feel like everyone's like kind of gone off my name a little bit. It's like, well, he's a mid-tier fighter, and it's like, well, okay, it's up to me. It's up to me to show that I am top tier, that I am cream of the crop, and that I am ready to go and make my way towards the top of this division. So, but I love it. I love it because it just gives me even more fuel to add to my fire. So that's why I wrote it, just because I saw some things, I heard some things, and I'm just like, okay, you guys wanna throw shade at me like that? Well, now I'm going to give you a reason not to.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have people on your team that have told you, don't look at comments on social media and all that stuff because no
Of
matter
course,
who you are, there's always going to be people out there trying to tear you down. Did,
of course.
yeah, so I mean, I'm sure at where you're at right now, you realize that there are a lot of people that wish that they could do what you're doing, and so like they just want to throw darts at you to try and make themselves feel better.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I don't know, I feel like hate is actually quite a useful tool to motivate you, you know? Like, of course, I'm doing this, for my family, I'm doing this for myself, I'm doing this for my own personal achievements, I'm doing this for a lot of things, a lot of good, positive, motivating things. But at the same time, like I say, I've had a lot of people over the course of my career just tell me I'm no good, tell me I'll never do this and this and that. And actually, this is what I've been saying, like that sort of that's what's kept the fire burning inside. It's like, okay, like that kind of, like I say, almost brings out the best of me. And I know that they're constantly going to be there. And I don't actually pay attention to it really. It's just like, you know, I'm ready to put in the performances that I know I can throw out there, and I know I've been putting in the work. I know I've been doing all the right things. So ultimately, I'm going to go in there and just like I say, have fun. But it's a crazy game. It's a crazy game. You got so many different realms of things going on, and but I embrace all of it and I enjoy all of it. So yeah, it was just like a little bit of like a, I don't know. It's almost like when the when you got Conan the Barbarian or something like that, like looking over just to take over the lands like that. That's the type of mode I'm on when I see stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay,
Anyways,
I love it. You ever seen The Last Dance?
The Last Dance, yes, I have, and that Michael Jordan, and yeah,
Yeah.
mate, he's a legend of the sport. If I could say, yeah, anyone outside of MMA who I really look up to and admire, it would definitely be him. But yeah, literally just straight up killer mentality. You know what I mean? Everywhere,
Well,
even with gambling and golf.
that's right. That's right. Well, when you said that, what you were, just talking about and explaining, that's what it reminded me of. I mean, because he would just look for reasons to feel disrespected to motivate him even more.
Yes, 100%. And I feel it's funny. I didn't even think of that connection. But yeah, yeah, no, no, 100%. It's exactly the same thing. Even just a little thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like his teammate would say something, or Magic would say something to him, and then he'd be like, "Okay, I'm gonna use that now."
Yeah.
And it's true because it is the biggest motivator. You know what I mean? It's all good and well, like when everything's like all sunshine, daisies, and rainbows. Do you know what I mean? And oh yeah, we're gonna get all better. But when you got someone who's actually, like I say, throwing a bit of that thunder and lightning at you, it's like, okay, now let's give me something to fight even more for.
How old are you now, Modestas?
I'm 30, mate.
You're 30. Okay. So you still got your best years ahead of you. When you look at you at your very best, like how far away are you? Do you feel like it's a couple more fights? Like, I mean, you've been at it for a while now, but still, I mean, like you just said, you're only 30, so you got a lot of time left. Like, how much more can you grow?
I'll tell you what's very motivating actually, seeing even like guys like Alex Pereira like tearing up the division, and he's 37. He got into the UFC at 34. In such a short space of time, he's done so much, and I feel like that's what it's like in this game. You In a very short space of time, you can do. I mean, look at Diego Lopez. I mean, he's had so many fights like back to back. You do your job, you go out there, you win, you get rewarded by having more fights. You know what I mean? So I believe that my window and my ceiling, it's like there's even more things that obviously I want to improve on, but because I've got a mindset of constantly wanting to improve, constantly wanting to train, constantly wanting to fight, I feel that is going to pay dividends for me, and that's what's also going to help me to achieve new heights all the time. Like we always constantly see Alex put on even better performances, so this is kind of the trajectory that I feel like I'm on now. I feel like God had to intervene in my upward rise, obviously with my last fight. Because I mean, even if you look at my last fight, I was doing well until I just got caught with a shot, and I feel like that was like God, like giving me that shot, just telling me like, listen, we've got to change a couple of things so that we can get this trajectory right, and for you to do what you want to do or what you set out to do. So, you know, I'm fully on that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the universe is on my side, and yeah, I mean, trust me, there's going to be the Baltic Gladiator is going to put on some performances that are going to make people turn their heads. And like I say, it all starts on July 27th.
Yeah, man. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. I can't wait to see you back in there. So to circle back to this fight with Prachnio, his last win or his last fight was a win over Devin Clark. I'm not so certain that like it was. I don't want to disrespect Prachnio at all, but I felt like Devin looked a little flat in there. Did you analyze that fight much? Did you feel like it was what Prachnio did, or maybe what Devin didn't do?
I think it was a bit of both. I think it was a bit of both. Prachnio did very well again with his movement, with his switching of stances. He did a lot of things that neutralized a lot of Devin Clark's game as well, actually, which made him feel like he couldn't find the timing. I remember that William Knight kept on talking about how he couldn't find the timing just because of that constant movement. So I feel like that like I say, Devin found it very hard. He had his successes, he definitely in the second round as well. But like I say, Pratney is a tricky guy. You know what I mean? Like he's got things that are very unorthodox. So, you just have to take it to him. And I don't feel that Devin Clark did.
One of my favorite parts of fight night is the walkout when the song comes on and you kind of get a gauge as to the fighter's body language, how they're feeling. Can you give me a little sneak preview like as to your walkout song, what you're going to be coming down to?
Oh, mate, it's always the same thing, but it's just got the only thing because I'm going to be the first one on, so you don't get much time to really kind of enjoy the walkout because they kind of get you just to walk out straight away. So I'm a think exactly which, but it's always going to have something along with gig. You heard of gigs talking the hardest, no?
Yeah.
So that's my main tune. I played it on my on the New Year's win against Chuck Campbell, and that's my tune. But I'm gonna have my Gladiator kind of music beforehand, and then basically remixed into that one. So I'll see because I've got like a long version and then a shorter version. So we'll see which one I'll decide to come up with on the day. Maybe I just got to walk a little bit slower when I come out there in the arena, but yeah, man. So we're going proper gladiator war vibes along with talking the hardest, which is like, mate, playing that in Manchester, that's gonna go off. Do you know what I mean? Like I've been playing gigs in Australia and freaking Vegas, and everyone's like, what is this? But you go to the UK, mate, that is an absolute old school banger. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's gonna pop when you make the walk to the octagon, there's no doubt. One last thing from me, Modestas, before we get you out of here, for all the betters that are out there, and there's a lot of them, give me an official prediction. How does this fight end? How do you get your hand raised?
do you know what? I'm gonna take a different approach with this answer because I usually just give my straight up prediction. And I all I can say to you is whether you all you can do is bet on me to win. Doesn't matter which round or whatever. All you can do is bet on me to win. Because I'm at my peak. Uh I'm at my highest form. I feel like spiritually I'm in the right place. My training's been going the right way. Um, I feel like everything is just leading into this moment. All that's got to happen is to me to go out there and perform at my best. If I do that, you're in for one hell of a show. And that is exactly what I'm looking to bring out here. So we you got to always expect the unexpected. So for me, it's just for me to bring out the most spectacular performance that I've ever done in my whole life, and that can only end in one thing, which is me getting my hand raised. But just expect a spectacular performance from my end.
Well, I'll definitely be watching very intently. Can't wait to see you back in there, Modestus. Always a pleasure having the opportunity to speak with you, my man. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. If there's anything you want to plug or anyone you want to thank, the floor is yours.
I just got to thank everyone that's been in my corner. Do you know what I mean? Like I've had a very strong knit team. I got to give some extra thank yous, obviously, to Tom and his team, and all the guys that are there. Mick Parkin. You got a really solid group of guys. There's too many guys to name out there, but that they've all helped a hell of a lot. You got a really solid team, and It's been a great addition. I've got to thank them. Obviously, Iridium Sports Agency for sorting out some amazing things for me. All as always, they're helping me out to the highest degree. And yeah, just obviously my dad, everyone at Team BST, Will Curry. And do you know, I got to say, like my dad's always been leading me in the right direction. He's always believing in me, and you know, him and my stepmom as well. And I just can't wait to put on a performance for all of you. So just get ready, people. Get ready.